from Eason Field at Garety Stadium on the campus of Center High School. Touchdown Productions, celebrating 19 seasons. That's 19 seasons of sports excellence, is proud to present Placer Hillmen football. Tonight, as we wrap up our coverage of the 2015 PVL season, your undefeated and defending PVL champion Placer Hillmen take on the Center Cougars. The Hillmen are on a quest for the fourth consecutive league title, and all that football action begins right here, right now. This is your NorCal Game of the Week. The Placer Hillmen hit the road for their PVL league opener this year, and once again, standing in their way to their fourth consecutive league title is the always tough Center Cougars. Good evening, football fans, wherever you are across our worldwide audience. This is Paul Brown. Alongside me is my partner, Steve Sitter. Our producer and director in the Commander 2 is Gilbert M. Dominguez, and he is joined by the rest of the Touchdown Productions sports team, Callahan King and Josh Colin. We have made the trip to Center High School to bring you this game, and you know, Steve, this is going to be quite a game. The Cougars were the last team to beat the Hillmen in the championship run and deny them a league title, and the Placer Hillmen may be knocked out of the playoffs tonight. They may not be.
The Hillmen certainly have a rich history, and while Placer comes in undefeated tonight against the Cougars, Center was undefeated before last week's loss to Vanden, a top team in the Solano County Conference. So it's safe to say that this will be the toughest team the Hillmen have played all season. And
the Hillmen are coming off a big win over Vista del Lago, who ousted them last year in the playoffs, and need a win here tonight to keep pace with the Bear River Bruins, who are playing Foothill tonight and are expected to win and remain undefeated.
Absolutely, and waiting for the Bruins after tonight are games against Colfax and these Placer Hillmen. So those are certainly defining games in the PVL for this season.
We'll take a walk around the PVL and take a look at the season and how it shapes up. So we are moments away, as always, from the opening kickoff, and when we return, we'll break down the league standings in the SFL and PVL, and we'll get set to play league play. Well, we've got the PVL Championship, Placer Hillmen, getting ready here at Center High School. It's all up, coming up right now on your NorCal Game of the Week. TouchdownProductions.com. We'll be right back.
Your car is one of the most important assets you own. And Reeby's Auto Parts is dedicated to helping you keep it in tip-top condition. Reeby's Auto Parts is a family-owned and operated business since 1956. We have a friendly and knowledgeable staff, and as a Napa Auto Parts dealer, you're sure to find the right part you need from either of our two Nevada County locations. You can always count on Reeby's to be there when you need us. It's Reeby's Auto Parts in Nevada City and Grass Valley.
The Nevada County Association of Realtors Charitable Foundation invites you to an enchanting masquerade ball on October 24th at the Rincon Del Rio Bear River Estate. Enjoy delicious food and drinks, dance to music provided by Bobby G, play games of chance, bid on live and silent auction items. Our event will benefit local nonprofit charities and help provide for scholarships. This will be the most talked about community event of the year. So don't miss the Nevada County Association of Realtors Charitable Foundation Masquerade Ball on Saturday, October 24th.
Back here, Eason Field here, getting ready for the game that could be the championship deciding game, Steve Sitter. Placer Hillmen versus the Center. What do you have to say about this game tonight, Steve?
This is a tough team in the Center Cougars. Vanden just happened to be a little bit tougher last week, but Placer has put together a pretty good team this year, all upperclassmen, and they've managed to combine that which is so elusive in high school football, a high-powered, multifaceted offense with a strong, tough defense.
Right. Very rarely do we see that. And on the other side of the ball, the Center Cougars, we'll look at the standings. We'll talk about Center. First, we'll go to the PVL. Let's talk about that, Steve.
Well, Bear River and Placer both 5-0. However, Placer playing Center, which is sitting at 4-1, and Bear River playing Foothill, which is at the bottom at 1-4. So Bear River, we're pretty sure up here that they're going to come away from tonight, 6-0. So Placer really needs a win tonight just to keep pace with the Bruins. And their Center at 4-1, and Lincoln and Colfax play tonight as well. Not a sure victory for either of these teams. That's going to be a real battle and could also shape the PVL as the season progresses.
And I understand that Marty Mortensen is at that Bear River game tonight. I'm hoping to get some updates as the night continues. We'll keep track of Bear River, and then let's talk about Sierra Foothill. There we have Folsom on top, 2-0. Oak Ridge, 2-0. What's happening with Sierra Foothill, Steve?
Well, Nevada Union at 0-2, still looking for a first victory, although you take a look at the other teams in there, Folsom, Oak Ridge, Del Oro, Wood Creek, Granite Bay, and Rockland. Those are all amazing teams. It's really right now a toss-up, even though Folsom and Oak Ridge are both at 2-0. This league has not even begun yet. Any team could come away with a pretty decent run and just climb up the standings. It's really difficult to predict what's going to happen in this league, even though Folsom at 6-0 overall does look poised to stay on top. This is still really any team's league to win.
Somebody told me that they thought Folsom was good enough to beat some junior college teams. This is one fine football team, so we'll try to keep track of what's going on in the Sierra Foothill League.
And we will see Oak Ridge and Granite Bay at Nevada Union, and we will be at Bear River. Bear River playing the Colfax Falcons, and that is a huge game in regards to it shaping the PVL and those teams, so be sure to join us there. That'll be Marty Mortensen and Rick Elwood. And our HD telecast, Granite Bay comes into town to take on the Nevada Union Miners. That will be our HD telecast. I believe that game will be myself and Eric Onestad, so be sure to join us there as well.
If you've never watched any of our broadcasts, you might tune in to watch that Bear River at Colfax. There's two communities that take that game very, very seriously.
Absolutely.
Crowd will be there. So with that all said, we are going to be back in about 30 seconds. We're going to kick it off. Placer Hillmen against the Center Cougars right here on the NorCal Game of the Week. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Magnuson's Toyota and Scion is celebrating 25 years serving you in the foothills. Right now, Magnuson's carries the first all-electric SUV, and they're still the home of the Toyota Tundra. Magnuson's Dodge Chrysler Jeep is right down the street and features the new Ram diesel truck, Jeep Wranglers, and Grand Jeep Cherokee. It's Magnuson's Auburn Toyota and Magnuson's Dodge, both in Auburn.
Back here at Eason Field, Placer getting ready to kick the ball off to the Center Cougars, and with your play-by-play tonight, I give you Steve Sitter.
Thank you, Paul. Placer won the toss, chose to defer. So kicking off for the Hillmen will be number 21, Owen Scott. Now it's Jeremiah Bradford back to receive. And it's a line drive kick. This will actually be taken by Tobias Marshall. Marshall slips getting to the sidelines, and down he goes. So Center will take over right around their own 27-yard line.
Marshall had some room there at the end, Steve, just unfortunately slipped and fell. I thought he had a couple yards left at least up the sideline.
And they will actually take over on their own 35-yard line. And we don't know too much about this Center Cougar team. They choose not to put their stats up on Max Preps. So we will be surprised. Shotgun formation for the Cougars. Direct handoff to Isaiah Mayfield. Mayfield goes up the middle with it and is tackled after a gain of about 3. This Placer defense has stood pretty tall all season, which is, again, a very rare thing to see in high school football with a high-powered offense. Usually you see one or the other. The Placers managed to put themselves together a pretty solid team. Another shotgun formation for the Cougars. Another direct handoff. This time, again, it's up the middle, and this will be squashed at the line of scrimmage. Again, another handoff to Isaiah Mayfield.
Gain of 0 yards on that. Mayfield trying to find some room up the middle. They're testing this great big Placer defensive line, Steve, they're not going to find many soft spots in there.
And definitely not up the middle. This defense trains against the wing T, so they are certainly accustomed to finding the football, finding who has the football, and then bringing that person down quickly. So 3rd and 7. Center stays in that shotgun formation. We may just see a pass. And we do Faden back. Checks all his options, and now he has to scramble. Going right side, has some room, and just throws it away. That is Tobias Marshall for center at quarterback. And that is a 3 and out for center's first possession.
That time on the play, if we were talking about that offensive or that defensive line of Placer, Rodrigo Gonzalez, even though he's a big senior defensive lineman, down that line to help to interrupt that play.
And there was decent protection for Marshall to check all his options before scrambling out of the pocket. And that just goes for the Placer secondary to cover all those receivers. And on 4th and 7, we have an interesting punt formation. It's number 14, Joshua Bradford, back to punt. Good snap, and it's a fake. Cuts back to the middle, gets back over the first down marker, and he is hit at about the 45-yard line. Nice tackle by Owen Scott, but not before a huge gain, and the trick play is successful.
And, you know, you called it, Steve, that it was an unusual formation. It didn't look like your typical punt formation. They had that planned all along.
The fake in question was sold very nicely on the first step of Bradford. He took one step as if he was going to kick and then took off full speed and had a lot of room in front of him. So into Placer territory go the Cougars. And no, looks like we have a stoppage. This will be a referee timeout.
Look at this replay. Now watch him. He sells it by just pausing for a second right here. Looks like he's going to kick it. Finds where he wants to run. And then takes out a good move right there. Finding not much help on the backside, but one more missed tackle and he might find the end zone.
As we go back to live action, there was an offsides penalty on Placer, so this will make it 1st and 5 on the Placer 39-yard line. Center continues their march. So Center not able to get much yardage except for on the fake punt and a 5-yard penalty. Those are the two biggest gains they have. Quick screen pass, and this is nowhere near the intended receiver.
And that ball was certainly too far out in front. I don't think if he caught the ball, Steve, he had any place to go.
And the intended receiver was number 1, who is not listed on our roster, so that makes it a bit difficult for us. But it brings up 2nd and 5 now.
Center yet to complete a pass.
Center coaches are yelling at their players. They have 4 wide receivers, 3 near side. And it is an inside handoff, and there is loads of room for Mayfield. Mayfield cuts to the outside and is finally brought down just outside the 20-yard line.
Gain of about 22 yards. Mayfield bringing the beef when they need it. Great outside run here, Steve. Watch this cut to the outside.
And this is a simple play, too. Just another inside handoff, but the offensive line of Center manages to open up a hole.
And Gil, after we watch this run, we can watch this again. You should see the inside trap blocking. Something you don't see very often, these defensive linemen of Placer on their back.
First down on the 23-yard line. Fading right is Marshall. Marshall throws and in and out of the hands of unnamed receiver number 1.
Here's the trap blocking. Now look on the inside. You won't find these big linemen on their back. See, the guard pulls, Opens the hole there. Now watch as the screen. Look at that. That was Rodrigo Gonzalez on his back. That hole was wide open. If center can do that, they're going to be competitive tonight.
So after that incomplete pass, we are looking at 2nd and 10 on the 23-yard line. Looks like center will be using this shotgun formation pretty much exclusively. Now we have an empty backfield as Isaiah Mayfield clears out. And it's a keeper. Nice hole on the right side. And he is finally brought down. Excellent defensive work. That was number 42, Dallin Trentman, who managed to shake the block and make the stop. That could have been a very dangerous play with all the running room, but instead it is just a gain of 2. So another 3rd and long for center. They are 0 for 1 so far in this series.
They're making all their yards in the ground. I'm not sure why they're passing the ball.
Single backfield, Isaiah Mayfield. And it's a handoff again to the inside, and this time squashed for no gain. So that'll bring up 4th and 8. This would be a very long field goal, somewhere right around 40 yards, and I don't see this being made in high school.
No, and I don't see anybody going on the field either to do it. They're going to dial something up for a 4th and 8. They may try a hard count here to gain a 5-yard advantage.
It's worked once. I'm not sure it would work again in the same series. And we have a flag come up. This will most likely be delay of game, and it is. So, in fact, the opposite happens. It is 5 yards back. So this would be squarely what we can call professional field goal range. And now they have to drag out a 4th and 13 play. Mayfield, the lone back, 4 wide. Fake handoff rolling left. He's flushed out and brought down. Number 71, Jacob Capra, is the one who makes the big stop. That'll be a loss of, I believe, 5 yards and a turnover on downs.
Big Jacob Capra threw aside his offensive lineman ahead of him, bring down the quarterback.
Capra's averaging just half a sack per game. So that will raise his average, and Placer will take over on their own 32-yard line. Quick count and a handoff to Waylon Kozad. Kozad gets to the outside for a big gain of about 15 before being pushed out of bounds. Placer with that wing tee, they move very quickly. They don't allow a lot of breathing room for the defense. Go quickly to the line, Marcus, and looks like he fumbles the handoff a little bit. Now he fades back. He's flushed out by Casey Boyd, throws it away, and it's picked off by Tobias Marshall. Marshall pushing forward, and he'll get about 10 yards after the interception, so center will take over after just 2 plays by the Hillmen.
And Steve, we've seen this from the Hillmen before. Ante throwing the ball into space and finding not his receiver, but a defensive player. Ante has an issue, I think, with throwing interceptions. That ball, he should have just thrown it out of bounds. I'm not sure where he was throwing it at all.
On the season, he has 12 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Make that 3 with that very poor pass. He underthrew his intended receiver by about 15 yards.
Now here's a replay, and watch. He's out there. He's just trying to get rid of this football, but he leaves it in the field of play. He should have thrown it to one of his coaches.
The center takes over on the Placer 47-yard line. This is a handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield is hit behind the line of scrimmage. This might actually be a loss of a yard.
Yeah, Mayfield just hit a wall there. They tried to run over Jacob Capra again, and he said no.
Also in on that stop was Diego Lopez. I believe he made first contact, and that will be a loss of 1. Center's only really had one big gain on that inside handoff. There's the 2nd and 11, rolling left. It's an option, and it's pitched out to Marshall. Marshall cuts back inside, gets a few, and a flag comes in late.
I think we're going to see a hold here.
This flag came from the side judge, and you're right, it will be a hold against Center.
So they'll march 10 yards back on the hold.
And that was a very interesting play. It was certainly designed as a quarterback option. Marshall could have kept it for the dive inside, but he opted to pitch to Mayfield. Mayfield gained about 3, but with the hold, it will be marched back. And that hold was actually right near where the play ended, so it will be a net result of about 7 yards.
The quarterback's got to read that defensive tackle, and they were in his backfield way early.
So it is now 2nd and 18. Another handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield tries to cut left, shakes one tackle, but then the entire Hillmen team tackles him right at about the line of scrimmage. So call it 3rd and 18 now for the Center Cougars. If this is all they have in their playbook, they may just try a fake punt every down.
Well, you can bet that the Hillmen will be looking for that fake punt. No, they're going to have to boot this ball away. They
do have one more play before 4th down. Rears its head. So here's the 3rd and 18 play. And they do go to the air. This one is picked off. Ryan Houston with the pick. And he does just step out of bounds at the 39-yard line.
Boy, and Houston knows he had some open field ahead of him. Great pick play. Getting congratulated as he comes off the field. That ball was thrown up for anybody, though. Not a very well executed pass.
So a couple of interceptions, and Placer will get the ball. They are on their own 39-yard line, and they do get quickly to the line of scrimmage. Quick inside handoff. This one gets maybe a yard. Looks like Owen Scott on the carry.
That was the workhorse, Owen Scott. Past player of the week here for Touchdown Productions.
Placer again quickly to the line, 2nd and 9. And this time they're going through the air. Ante wide open is Joe Robinson, and Robinson dragged down at the 34-yard line.
Looks like a gain of about 22, Steve. That time, Ante set and threw, found his receiver. Placer starting to work out the cobwebs. I think they're going to score this drive.
Joe Robinson, that's only his 5th reception of the year. There's a late handoff to Owen Scott. Owen Scott on the outside, has a lot of room, one man to beat, and he gets taken down at the 12.
Scott that time gave a little move to the inside and then decided to just try to outleg the defender on the outside.
That was the only defender who had a chance of stopping him in front of the end zone. This time it's an inside handoff to Jared Halbert, and he is tackled at the line of scrimmage. In fact, that might actually be a loss of a yard. And that was the same setup as the previous play, with Owen Scott coming all the way across the field, faking the handoff, when in fact the ball was already handed off to Halbert. Good job by the Cougars to pick that up and stop it. 2nd and 11. This time it is back to Scott up the middle. And Scott is brought down after a gain of about 4. So the first Hillmen third down
of the game.
It will be on the center 10-yard line. They've got 7 to get the first and 10 for the touchdown. And we have a quick whistle. This will be another referee timeout. I always have to wonder what this is, and this might be an equipment timeout. Ryan Houston will run over. Actually, it looks like they will change the play. Well, Placer still facing a big third down in center territory. And he fades back to pass. That was tipped at the line and falls incomplete.
We're going to give credit to Lorenzo Alvzo, the defensive end, tipping that ball.
So that brings up 4th and 7. It looks like Coach Montoya is really thinking about what to do here, and looks like they're going to go for it. Placer has a couple of kickers. Andreas Prieto, Owen Scott can also kick, but it looks like they'll go for it here in the red zone. And he fades back. He's flushed out of the pocket, gives it away, and it's in for a touchdown. Waylon Kozad with the reception, and the first points of the game go to Placer.
And the question is who forgot about Waylon? He was all by himself. Good decision by Marcus Ante, looking to the left and then deciding to look to his right, and there's Kozad in the back of the end zone. So first blood goes to the Placer Hillmen.
Now Andreas Prieto will take the field for the kick. And he chips it up and through. Get the feeling that Prieto is in there just for extra points. It looks like he had done that before.
Good decision now on the part of Joey Montoya, deciding to go for the touchdown rather than kick the field goal.
And good poise by Marcus Ante, getting flushed out of the pocket and still managing to find the receiver for the conversion.
So center will get a chance to get the ball back here. 2 minutes and 48 seconds left in the first quarter. Honestly, though, Steve, I think center has held their own pretty well, but Placer seems to be the stronger team on the field.
And you see the Placer Title Company scoreboard. The Hillmen strike first, go up 7-0 at the tail end of the first quarter. And Paul, I agree with you. The center defense has looked fairly strong. They've given up a few big yardage plays, but so have the Hillmen. It's just been turnovers that have been plaguing the Cougars. Another line drive kick. This one will be taken by Tobias Marshall. Marshall cuts back up the middle, but gets taken down at the 25-yard line.
Marshall never really got a full head of steam, looking for a hole and never finding it. But let's look at this touchdown one time again. You'll find Kozad. He'll be split to your right. There he is. And nobody picks him up. He's open now, and he continues to be open. There he is. Ante switching directions to his left, and there's Kozad. I think that may be one of his first touchdowns of the season.
Yeah, that was number 82, Eric Coker, who was initially covering Kozad, but he broke up the middle once Ante got flushed out of the pocket, leaving Kozad wide open. So the Cougars will have a first down on their own 26-yard line. And this is a handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield gets to the outside, has a little bit of running room, and he will pick up about 4. And I am noticing from center, their blocks are becoming much more violent.
I couldn't agree with you more, Steve. This guy Mayfield's got some speed. He's got some speed, he's got some moves. If they get him out in open field, he'll be a tough one to bring down.
Looks like they're going to give him a gain of 5 on the run, which is the second longest play they have. The first being, of course, the fake punt. Placer bringing the heat from the side, but it's an inside handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield has room. An excellent block by Nick Sanchez, but I believe there's a flag in the backfield that will bring this run back. Very unfortunate.
There's going to be a hold on center. This is a heartbreak. Brilliant run by Mayfield. Absolutely brilliant, finding room. And the best play from scrimmage so far for center is going to come back. This flag came in late. Let's take a look at it, Steve. You can see good blocking up front. I don't see a hold anywhere. There's a pile up there. Oh, maybe on number 12.
Does look like Anthony Pierce got held just a little bit.
That'd be Nick Sanchez if it was actually on Nick. What a good waste of a run.
And the only saving grace from this is because it is somewhat of a spot foul, it occurred about 8 yards past the first down marker. So instead of second and forever, it will actually be 2nd and 2. Still, though, after a 30-yard run, you hate to be looking at anything other than first down in enemy territory. So 2nd and 2, just under 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. And here is the pass. This is actually Cameron Pierini who was in at quarterback, and it is incomplete. Interesting decision early in this game to switch Marshall and Pierini. Neither are listed as quarterbacks, but they have no one who is. So 3rd and 2. Pierini still in at quarterback with Marshall as the lone back. 4 wide, and a handoff to Marshall. Marshall hit at the line of scrimmage, and I don't believe he got there.
It'll be close. He may have gotten a yard when he needed 2.
Yeah, and this spot will be right on the 35-yard line. They need a full yard more.
Every bit of.
And now it looks like the punt unit will come on for center.
You know, I'm more of a gambler than this. I wish Coach Bailey would go for this.
Well, he still might. Just because the punt unit's on doesn't mean it's not another trick play.
True.
And it looks like another delay of game penalty. So 4th and 1 becomes 4th and 6. Second delay of game penalty on the Cougars.
You got to put that one on the coach too, Steve. He didn't know what he wanted to do. Fumbled around a bit, waiting to decide if he's going to kick or not.
There are 2 Hillmen back to receive this punt. Kind of a high snap, and this time it is a real punt. Takes a Cougar bounce and a Cougar roll, and Placer will take over on their own 35-yard line. Punt of about 40 yards.
Cougars managed to hold on to the ball, though, for almost 4 minutes, and we're winding down the first quarter here.
They have had excellent clock management. 44 seconds left in the first quarter, just 7-0. These teams come into the game very high scoring. There's Placer coach Joey Montoya. And it actually looks like there was a flag on the play against Placer, and this backs them up to their own 25-yard line, probably a block in the back or a hold during the punt. So Ante fades back, has a little running room, jukes right, trying to get to the sideline, and he will. Nice block at the end of that run. And the run itself will gain about 8. These teams, Placer comes into the game averaging about 44 points, and center averaging almost 34. Certainly you take a look at those numbers and you don't expect it to be 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. It's a double reverse as it is to Waylon Kozak. Kozak gets across the first down line and gets about 4 more after.
I think Cozad, we got some interference here, Gilbert, in the mics.
There's the first down play. This is a handoff to Jared Halbert. Halbert will get about 7.
Yes. I am back now, I think. Steve, can you hear me? Good deal.
And that is the end of the first quarter. This is much more of a grinding game than I would have predicted. Taking a look at the numbers beforehand, I expected much more fireworks. But Placer, the only team to score in the first quarter, they lead 7-0.
You know, the Cougars are finding out about this defensive line of the Hillmen, and that's what they make their bread and butter on. You can't run through them generally. It's very rare when we see a team that can actually make a hole through this defensive line. You've got to throw the ball against Placer if you're going to beat them.
I see the Placer Title Company scoreboard at the end of the first quarter. Placer on top 7-0. Center never really found a reliable means of offense. Their biggest gains coming off of penalties and a fake punt.
Interesting that they're running 2 quarterbacks, too. The Cougars have used Perini. I think he's the more accurate arm of the two.
Certainly seemed like the stronger arm.
Don't forget the Masquerade Ball coming up here. Our director, Gilbert Dominguez, reminds you that he'd like to see you at this Masquerade Ball. This is Saturday, October 24th, 6 p.m. at Rincon del Rio. Get dressed up and show up.
There's the first play of the second quarter. Handoff to Scott. Scott goes to the outside and gets the first down.
There may be a flag in the play here. I think we saw a block in the back here, Steve. It would go against Placer.
And that is exactly the call. So instead of a first down, this will be marched back another 10 yards. Center certainly getting some help from the flags. They themselves have been hit with a couple delay of games, but that's been about it for Center. They've played a fairly disciplined, if slow, game.
And, you know, this has really been the Achilles heel for Placer all year. The interceptions by Ante and the penalties. They get a drive going, and they have a tendency to shoot themselves in the foot.
2nd and 13, late handoff to Cozad. Cozad, a lot of room, great stiff arm, and he has a lot of open field. Gets down to the 40 and the 30, shakes one defender, only one more to beat, and he is just pushed out of bounds inside the Center 10-yard line.
The deception on that play was excellent. Had half of the Cougar team looking on the inside, and Cozad going to the outside.
And I do wish we had number 40's number for Center. He has made 2 open field stops when he was the last one back.
Now watch Cozad. Now watch the inside on the replay. Watch the deception. We'll go back to that in 1 second.
Quick handoff to Halbert. Halbert up the middle, and he is brought down, gain of about 2.
Here's your replay, Steve, and watch this. Now watch the inside handoff. Everybody's following the inside blocker. And outside, Cozad breaks that tackle, which was the key to this run. And you're right, Steve. He should have scored that last tackler, number 40.
2nd and goal on the 2. Quick handoff to Cozad. Cozad tries to shoot up the middle, and he is dragged backwards. This will be a loss of a couple yards. Very good job of the Center defense to adjust and not let Cozad get a head of steam going into the line.
It was Casey Boyd on the tackle, the outside linebacker.
So it's now 3rd and goal on the 4. There's a handoff to Cozad. Cozad trying to get to the outside and dive in. Waiting for word from the referees. And it looks like he was stopped short.
Several of the Placer players thought he got in, but it looks like they're going to be on the 1 foot yard, maybe the 1 yard line. No, it'll be about the foot line.
And this would be a huge stop for the Cougars. If they could keep Placer out of the end zone, certainly no field goal unit on at the 1 foot line. They've got the middle stacked. And he hands it off to Halbert. Halbert is in untouched.
Placer with their second score tonight, using that offensive line to just push the Cougars out of the way.
And it looked like center was standing up like they expected Ante to try and sneak it in himself. They got one big push in, but they weren't ready for Jared Halbert to come in with speed. So Prieto is in for his second extra point attempt, and he shanked it.
I don't think they got the ball down. It may have been a bad snap, or he just didn't get a foot on it.
Josh Jacoby was the holder for Prieto, and either way, the kick is no good short.
9 minutes and 50 seconds left in this first half. 13-0. There's your Placer Title Company scoreboard. Cougars have yet to get any kind of a score going or really threaten. Here's your touchdown. And right up the middle, Steve, like I said, they just push this ball over. Massive players.
Yeah, center wasn't ready for a play more intricate than a QB keeper. They stacked the line and they put one push into it, and by the time they were already on the ground, Halbert just strolled in. So Prieto set to kick off. Center looking to get some good field position. They have really not done much pushing in this game. This kick bobbled a little bit of running room now before unnamed Cougar number 1 is brought down at his own 37-yard line. Decent field position for the Cougars to start this series. But really the story of this game has been a combination of Placer's good defense and center's lack of original play calling at the line of scrimmage. Every play has been in the shotgun. Tobias Marshall takes over at quarterback. And this will be a keeper, and he does have some running room. This is a nice run up the middle. Tackle made by Waylon Kozad, but not before a gain of 14.
Boy, Tobias Marshall, if you give him just a little hole, he certainly has explosive running abilities.
Listed as a running back and outside linebacker, a 5'8", 195 senior.
Yeah, it's funny, not one player on the Cougar team is listed as a quarterback.
So a first down here at the 50. This will be Marshall and Mayfield in the backfield. Marshall gives to Mayfield. Mayfield fakes to the right, cuts back inside. Good little run play, gain of 7.
You know, Placer can't sit back on a 13-point score. Granted, they don't have a lot of teams score a lot of points on them, Steve, but this Cougar team is a long way from giving up.
And those last few calls, well, the QB keeper was certainly an original call. Same setup. This is another handoff, and this will be a loss of probably 2. Ball comes out, but the play was already whistled dead. That's only be a loss of 1. But that play never really had much of a chance of developing.
No, almost like it was a confusion call. They didn't really know where they were going, but a straight handoff play. Let's take a look at it. Like he wanted to pull the ball out, then decided to leave it. So maybe it was an option play.
And it did look like maybe there was a missed assignment on the line as the Miners got there pretty much untouched. So 3rd and 4. Man in motion for the first time tonight, and this will be a false start on Isaiah Mayfield.
Mayfield may have turned upfield prematurely.
Actually, I believe Edmund Jabali was the man in motion, but Isaiah Mayfield, I think, flinched a bit in the backfield. He was certainly anticipating, and that will bring about the first timeout called by a team tonight. This will be center's timeout. So while they figure out what they're going to do on offense, we will step aside, but we'll be right back in 30 seconds on your NorCal Game of the Week on your TouchdownProductions.com sports network.
It's time to visit the newly remodeled B&C True Value Home and Garden Center. The new B&C has completely changed for your shopping convenience. Their new expanded garden center has everything you need, including expert advice on trees, shrubs, and perennials. Check out their new website and the new spring hours. And thank you for voting B&C the best hardware and building supply in 2012. So start right, start here at B&C True Value Home and Garden Center.
Back at Eason Field, center looking at 3rd and 9. Placer ahead on the scoreboard, 13-0. And center looked to be putting together a pretty good drive. And then they have stalled out at midfield. We'll see what they have planned for 3rd and 9. Mayfield, the lone back. Man in motion, and this will be a pass. Marshall going right side and overthrows his receiver by a good couple yards.
Well drawn up play there. He just could not execute the pass.
And the coverage was much too tight. Even if he comes up with that catch, he's tackled right where he catches it, gain of maybe 2.
Watch Marshall. He just straight stands up and looks over and overthrows the receiver.
Yeah, even if he comes down with that catch, he's tackled at about the original line of scrimmage. So it looks like this will be another punt. Yeah, Bradford now back to punt. Again, 2 Hillmen are back to field, and this is another good punt. This will be bobbled, and Cougar recovers it.
Yes! Yes!
Great coverage by the Cougars, and a very poor decision by Jared Halbert to try and catch that over his shoulder. Just let it bounce.
He called for a fair catch, Steve. He could have just let the ball go, but he kind of committed to it. Watch now, he's calling for a fair catch. He thinks he needs to field this ball, and it goes off his fingertips and off his foot.
And a great reaction by the Cougar to slide on it before he runs by it. And this is the deepest in enemy territory center has been all game.
Let me tell you what, center needs to score. What's going on now? They're going to move the ball back.
And the head referee is going to have a talk with the head coach for center, Degal Jabali. They are moving this ball very far back. The
question is it going to be center's ball or not?
The only explanation I can think of is that in attempting to make the catch, Halbert was obstructed.
But there's no flag on the field.
And the head referee has yet to make a motion as to what the actual penalty is. And I don't believe he is going to.
Cheating again! Cheating again!
Let's take a look at this. Doesn't look like he was interfered with at all.
No, I don't think that. Something happened on the line of scrimmage, Steve.
No, this looks like a straight, this looks like a redo. I mean, the stick says 1st and 9, but
they haven't moved the ball. There's been no penalty.
No, so they're just going to have to try and kick this again. And that is exactly what they do. Another excellent kick. This one will bounce and roll And we do have a flag now on the return. I think this will more than likely be a block to the back, half the distance to the goal from right around the 9-yard line.
There is a flag on the field.
Yeah, the referees will have a bit of a discussion, and it is a block to the back against Placer.
At halftime, we need to run down and find out what the call was on that punt. That was a significant play. Center would be taking the ball over inside their 10-yard line.
So with this block to the back, it will be pushed back from the 9-yard line to the 4.5. This would be a good spot for Center to come up with some big defensive plays, keep Placer pinned in their own end. Inside handoff to Halbert. Halbert is brought down after a short gain, maybe of 2 yards. And Center's defense really has shouldered the burden for their failing offense tonight.
Well, I'd venture to say that if Center's going to get back in this game, they really need a 3-and-out right here.
And this would be a good spot for it. And a quick step back, and that pass intended for Robinson is in and out of his hands. Looked like it was thrown just a bit behind him. And now Placer looking at 3rd and 8 on their own 7-yard line.
Good pass, though. Ante right on the button. And Robinson, I think, just missed that pass.
If anything, it may have been just a bit behind, but Robinson really should have adjusted. If you can get a hand on it, you should be able to catch it.
Big play for Center here.
Delayed handoff to Kozad. Kozad gets all the way up, and he tries, oh wow, what a stiff arm on Jeremiah Bradford. And he is down to the 30, the 20, the 10, and a touchdown Placer.
Once again, the Placer deception. Everybody following the ball carrier up the middle. And Kozad gets the pitch to the outside.
The only Cougar to realize what just happened, Jeremiah Bradford goes in for the tackle, and Kozad laid a monster stiff arm on him. I felt that from up here.
Kozad looks like line of scrimmage was right at about the 15-yard line, so we're going to call that 85 yards.
So extra point attempt number 3, and that hits the bar.
Good job. Good job. Keep doing it like that.
Wow.
So what was a 3rd down and a very, very important play for the Center defense turns out to be a touchdown by the Placer Hillmen.
And I believe the line of scrimmage was actually the 11-yard line. So not quite 90 yards.
We're going to give him 90. Let's give him 90. I'll tell you
why not?
It was a heck of a play. There's your Placer Title Company scoreboard. 12 points here in the second quarter. Placer can do everything but make an extra point. And here's a replay. Now watch, everybody bites on the fake up the middle. I certainly did. Kozad, you look at him in the screen here to your left. Everybody's following that ball carrier. They're tackling the ball carrier. And Kozad outside manages to maneuver his way in front of some blockers. Now watch the stiff arm, Steve. This hurts just to watch it. Bam. Oh, that was vicious.
Textbook. That's just off to the races.
It's nice to watch a play like that. And the Placer Hillmen now take a 19-0 lead.
As we go back to live action, that is Jeremiah Bradford on the return. Manages to get great field position for the Cougars almost to their own 40-yard line. I'm sure that makes him feel a little bit better after getting stiff-armed in open field. The Placer Title Company scoreboard, Placer scoring 2 touchdowns and 0 extra points in the second quarter. They lead 19-0, 6:13 left in the first half. They've gone back to Cameron Perini at quarterback, but it is a handoff to Mayfield straight up the middle. Gain of maybe 2 yards.
Mayfield lost the ball actually as he was going down, managed to rally it up before it got too far away.
Tobias Marshall is on the sideline, helmet off. And that last run may have just taken whatever fight the Cougars had out of this game. Second and 8, Perini to pass. Short screen pass over to unnamed receiver number 1, and a quick tackle by Ryan Houston. This will actually be a loss of a yard.
Cougars need to get down the field. They can't be throwing these passes out to the flat. No room once he caught that ball.
Now the Placer linebackers have excellent speed. Most of them are actually running backs, or at the very least fullbacks.
Perini still at quarterback.
And this will be 3rd and 9 on their own 40-yard line. Man in motion. Quick screen pass across to Nick Sanchez, and Sanchez is brought down for another 1-yard loss.
Center unable to find any kind of offensive handle here.
I think most of this comes from the fact that neither Marshall nor Perini can really throw the ball accurately for more than 5 yards at a time.
Yeah. A range of probably 15 would be more accurate, Steve, but I'll tell you, it all starts with having a running game, and with the exception of a couple of inside plays we've seen, Center can't really move this defensive line of Placer.
Slight change in Placer's punt return formation. Halbert is not back, and that is just Owen Scott. This will be a rugby-style kick with excellent distance.
That's a good one.
Oh, my, that goes all the way into the end zone.
That was like a kick option play. I think he was deciding whether he was going to try to run it, and if he had no room, he was going to kick it. But we have a flag down now.
That's right near where the kick was made. I don't know if you can... I mean, this would be a tough roughing the kicker if it was a kick option. This will be a personal foul against Placer. So let's take a look at the tail end of this kick.
Now look, he seems to look like he's looking for a hole. And then when he doesn't find what he's looking for, makes an excellent rugby-style kick, Steve.
Well, that's certainly not a roughing the kicker. And in fact, this personal foul will be tacked on during the return, it looks like, as Placer will still have possession, but they will have it on their own 10-yard line as opposed to the 20.
A lot of confusion as far as these officials are concerned. Maybe they're making the rules up as they go. I'm not sure.
Well, either way, Placer will have it deep in their own territory yet again. And another excellent opportunity for Center to capitalize. Let's see what the play call is. This will be a fake handoff to Kozad. Ante flushed out. And it looks like he will make the pass, and a huge hit. Wow.
That was controlled violence right there. That was number 40. And unfortunately, we don't have a 40 on our roster.
He's been involved in multiple defensive plays. It would be nice if we knew that young man's name.
Here it is here. Ante on the run makes a very accurate pass, but the collision at the end, wow.
And good hands to hold on to the ball. 1st and 10 on the 27-yard line. This will be a handoff to Kozad. Kozad gets a little bit of room before he's taken down after a gain of 3.
I noticed the public address announcer also doesn't have accurate numbers and players' names. Maybe I'll go down and ask the coach that when I'm down and asking the officials what's going on.
2nd and 7 play. Ante steps back. There was a nice little curl route to Joe Robinson. Robinson gets the first down plus about 8. Robinson has a few receptions tonight. But this game has pretty much been won already on the ground. Mostly Waylon Kozad and Jared Halbert.
2:40 left on the clock before half. There's a double reverse.
Another dual handoff. This is Owen Scott. Owen Scott gets inside the 40-yard line. Call that a gain of 16.
You know, Steve, it's been a few weeks since we've done a Placer game, but Owen Scott used to make a lot more carries than he's getting tonight. Kozad has turned out to be one of their most effective runners. Kozad is a senior.
Quick handoff to Halbert. Halbert up the middle, drags a couple Cougars along the way and picks up about 7. Owen Scott on the year averages about 10 yards per carry and 53 yards per game. Total, he has racked up 268 rushing yards, but he has been fairly subdued. Take a look at Kozad. Kozad averages 12 yards per carry, 79 yards per game. He got more than that on that one touchdown run. And there's Kozad again. Almost shakes the tackle, but is brought down, and there is a lot of blocking being finished upfield. That was Xavier Lovelace on Jeremiah Bradford. They get tangled up about 15 yards away from the ball.
Looks like the Placer Hillmen are going to take a timeout.
So we will step aside. Placer has a 3rd and 1 facing them. We'll be right back at Eason Field on your touchdownproductions.com Game of the Week.
Anything Green Hydroponics is your source for hydro systems, grow lights, and soils. Anything Green offers a complete range of organic nutrients as well as fungicides, miticides, and predatory bugs. Anything Green Hydroponics has just received this year's soil. Get your totes, pallets, or individual bags. Stay tuned for future workshops. It's all at Anything Green Hydroponics.
Back here at Center High School, Placer Hillmen on top of the Center Cougars by a score of 19-0. Under 2 minutes till the end of the first half. Placer has a 3rd and 1. There's a handoff to Halbert. Halbert gets the first down and a couple more, but we have a late flag coming in.
I think this will be on Placer. I believe we'll see a late hit, Steve. Let's see how it's called.
Yeah, where the flag came in, it really could be just about anything. Now it'll be a face mask against Center.
So that is not going to bode well for the Center defense.
Number 60, Daniel Avallo, is reacting very poorly to that call. And that is actually a personal foul face mask. And they are inside the 30, so it will be half the distance. Placer has an automatic first down on the Center 13-yard line. And he back to pass. Scrambles a bit, and that is almost picked off. The coverage was jumped by Jeremiah Bradford, and we have some more pushing and shoving after the whistle.
Owen Scott was out there to receive the ball, and while he was hanging in the air, he took a hit to the kidneys from unnamed player number 1, who is all over the field.
And it looks like Placer really needs to step up here as Jacob Capra's pads were exposed. They fixed that. Now Placer looking at 2nd and 10. Hand off to Kozad. Kozad gets to the line. Good blocking. Gets across for the touchdown.
Wow, that was nothing but power football there. Placer power football left. Kozad waiting for his blockers to develop, finds room on the outside, and then he just uses his legs to get in the end zone.
Kozad is a very fast runner, and it did look like he fell a little awkwardly at the tail end of that run.
The guy definitely has some wheels and some power. 25-0. Let's see if we can get an extra point now. Placer yet to get one done. He's going to get a spinner, and he gets that one.
Thought he may have pulled it just a little bit, but this is the first extra point of the quarter.
Well, let's look at the replay here, Steve, and watch the power of Kozad. He lines up these blockers. We got half the student body out in front of him. Right there, they cut the edge. There's really only one defensive back that could possibly get him, but he runs right past him. There's number 1. Placer may have just put the nail in the coffin with this one. There's your Placer Title Company scoreboard. 19 points in the second quarter. Placer High School getting the job done here at center.
Yeah, not a number you usually see in football, 19, but
no.
A couple of mixed extra points will do that.
You don't see that number in almost any sport.
So Placer set to kick off, and with a minute 22 left in the second quarter, remember Placer won the toss and chose to defer, so they will have the first possession of the second half as well. So center with 2 timeouts really only has this series to look forward to. The line drive kick. This is taken at around the 15-yard line. This is Bradford. Bradford tries to get to the outside and does, and gets some decent yards. Pushed out of bounds just short of the center 40-yard line.
Word from Bear River, Steve. Marty Mortensen checking in. 14-7 Bear River over Colfax tonight. Over Foothill, I beg your pardon, corrected there. But Bear River being undefeated like we discussed earlier. 6 minutes left before the half, and they're on their own home turf. I'll get most of it right.
First and 10 for the Cougars on their own 37-yard line. Fake handoff. This is a pass up the middle, caught by Bradford, but a huge hit laid by Ryan Houston. Still the biggest gain on a pass play that center has managed to put together. In fact, I believe that's the first gain on a pass play that center has managed to put together. Inside a minute until the end of the first half. Cameron Perini at quarterback. Another quick screen pass to unnamed receiver number 1. He will get wrapped up before he gets out of bounds, so the clock will continue to run now. Down to 40 seconds, and that was a gain of about 6.
Number 1 needed to catch that ball and get out of bounds. Now they're going to have to burn a timeout.
Yeah, that's poor clock management there on Bradford. But with the timeout taken, we will step aside. We will be back in 30 seconds on your TouchdownProductions.com Game of the Week.
We're at SPD Market in Nevada City asking people what they like about SPD.
I've been shopping here for about 20 years, and the people are very courteous, and I especially like the meat counter. It's nice. You have a great selection, very helpful.
Because it's local, it's small, they have wonderful selections of things I need, and the personnel are very nice.
And that's why people love SPD Markets in Nevada City and Grass Valley.
Back on the campus of Center High School. 38 seconds left in the first half. Placer leads 26-0. Center facing a 2nd and 6 on the Placer 39-yard line. Center with just one timeout. And before this play even has a chance to develop, a flag is thrown. And this is going to be offsides on Placer. So that will make it 2nd and 1. They are going to put, I believe, 12 seconds back on the scoreboard. No, just 2 seconds. Could be an important 2 seconds. So 2nd and 1 now on the Placer 34-yard line. 38 seconds left. Center with just one timeout, and Placer will have first possession in the second half. Pierini pitches it over to Marshall. Marshall evades one tackle, and he is well upfield. He is in the Placer red zone.
They'll take some time and move the chains. Center hustling up to the line of scrimmage.
And the clock will start now inside 30 seconds. Pierini is going for the end zone. It's a bit of a wobbler, and it is just broken up. Bradford had it in his hands. Just not a great grip on it, and before he could readjust, Houston managed to just get in there.
Pierini dodged a big bullet here. Watch this ball. It's anybody's football.
It was a wobbler, that's for sure.
It was, and he had the ball in his hands, and then from behind he got stripped.
Houston just managed to get a hand in there. 18 seconds left.
Center really needs to score here.
Pierini again under pressure, and this time brought down. That was Engel, who did get the first contact in. And with 4 seconds left, Center is forced to take their last time out, but they are taken well out of the red zone. So Center will drop their 4 seconds remaining play, and we will step aside once again. This is Placer at Center on your touchdownproductions.com Game of the Week.
Welcome to Plaza Tire and Automotive Service in Grass Valley. At Plaza Tire and Automotive Service, the customer comes first. We only do what's right for the customer, not necessarily what's right for business. Third generation family member, learned all that I know from my Grandpa Fred, my dad, my Uncle Mike, my grandma. My entire family's been a huge part of learning about the automotive industry. Grass Valley is our 4th location, and you can also find us in Colfax, Penn Valley, and Nevada City. I am Blake Hauser, and I welcome you to join us for the grand opening at our Grass Valley location.
Back at Center High School, 4 seconds left in the first half. Center is trailing 26-0, and now we will see most likely a Hail Mary to the end zone from Pierini. Pierini steps up, delivers the pass, and it will be batted out of the air, and that is the end of the first half. It's not really sure who that pass was intended for. There was no one in blue anywhere near where that pass landed. But you see the Placer Title Company scoreboard. Placer scores once in the first quarter, 3 times in the second quarter, couple missed extra points, and that means Center is down 26-0 at the half. This is not the football game I think either of us expected to see here tonight.
No, certainly me neither, Steve. I thought we'd see more scoring on the side of the Center, but we will be back with third quarter action right after this pause. This is your Touchdown Productions Game of the Week. We'll be back.
Hi, everybody. Gil Dominguez.
And Teresa Dietrich.
And we welcome Pioneer Motors to the NorCal Game of the Week.
Pioneer Motors is where you go for trucks. We have a huge selection of lowered, lifted, and 4-wheel drive trucks.
At Pioneer Motors, we have a huge selection of all-wheel drive vehicles like Audi, Volvo, and Toyotas, to name a few. Looking for a fun car to drive? come on down to Pioneer Motors and see our huge selection of Mini Coopers,
Hatchbacks.
and luxury cars too.
Remember, it's Pioneer Motors right here in Grass Valley.
The best cars at the best prices with great friendly customer care.
With this huge selection, why go anywhere else? Shop local.
The Nevada County Association of Realtors Charitable Foundation invites you to an enchanting masquerade ball on October 24th at the Rincon Del Rio Bear River Estate. Enjoy delicious food and drinks, dance to music provided by Bobby G, play games of chance, bid on live and silent auction items. Our event will benefit local nonprofit charities and help provide for scholarships. This will be the most talked about community event of the year. So don't miss the Nevada County Association of Realtors Charitable Foundation Masquerade Ball on Saturday, October 24th.
Back on the campus of Center High School, all set to start the second half. Center will kick off to Placer, and as you see on the Placer Title Company scoreboard, Placer is already ahead by a somewhat strange football score of 26-0.
And we're going to give a shout out, Steve. We didn't have some names and some numbers. Number one, who has been all over the field and deserves some credit, A.J. Lewis. And we'll have his name also, number 40, Zeron Houston, for the Cougars.
So the opening kickoff of the second half is taken at about the 14-yard line. And a nice little return up the side, slip tackle back upside, and there is nothing but room down the 30, the 20, the 10, and we have a second half opening kickoff return. Owen Scott, whose name we have not called very much tonight, just made his presence felt.
And that's the Owen Scott that you and I saw some games back early in the season. Owen was the workhorse for the Hillmen. That was just nothing short of a brilliant run, brilliant return.
He got some good blocking up to about the 40, and then he cut back and slipped 2 tackles.
And then he showed his power. He has power, he has speed. Owen is not a small man, and he really can cut it loose when he gets some open field.
So Andreas Prieto will come in to kick the extra point. Low snap, but nicely put down, and the kick is right down the middle.
32-0 now. Placer putting a stake in this coffin. I just don't see Center coming back here in the second half. They need to really find themselves some offense, something that they haven't done prior to this. They need to find a hole, some point of vulnerability with the Hillmen in order to get back in this football game.
And that kickoff return sent a message that Placer is not resting on a 26-0 lead. And you see the Placer Title Company scoreboard. It took 7 seconds to go 86 yards. And Placer again strikes first. And so far they have struck last, 32-0. 7 seconds to go, 86 yards.
Yikes.
Andreas Prieto will kick off. Prieto, it's worth noting, did not join his team in the locker room. He spent the entire halftime kicking on the Placer sidelines.
Practicing these kickoffs, and he was doing a good job of it.
He did put a few in the end zone.
His balls don't get a lot of height. They stay pretty low to the ground, but when he gets a good one, they're powerful. They're driving kicks.
This was golf. We could say he was lifting his head, but we'll see if that practice was worth it. He does get it in the air. Some backspin. This will be caught at the 4-yard line by Jeremiah Bradford. Bradford cuts in and is immediately hit. And he'll be brought down at about the 12-yard line.
So let's see if Center can gather themselves, come up with some kind of offensive drive here.
And they will have to go a long way to do it. They will start this possession on their own 12.5-yard line. Cameron Perini will be in at quarterback. He was taking warm-up throws just before the half started. And this will be an inside handoff. Big hole, but a big hit. Devin tossed.
Boy, tossed. They call that a spear tackle when you actually put the face mask of your helmet right on the numbers of the ball carrier. Ball carrier stopped cold, and that time.
Tossed made the big hit on the return.
Still good for 5 yards on the carry.
Tossed as an outside linebacker. Center with a 2nd and 6, another handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield wrapped up after picking up maybe 1. Looks like they'll give him 2 yards, but it's still a 3rd and 4.
Here's that first play. And watch the hit here. Bam.
Yeah, good blocking up the middle, but Tossed comes in from the side, completely unblocked. So 3rd and 4. Peary will pass, and he's going deep, way too deep.
I'm not sure who he was throwing that ball to, Steve, but it certainly wasn't A.J. Lewis who was out there.
I think he was the intended receiver, but that was a good 10 yards away from him and about 7 yards away from the defender.
So a 3 and out for the Center Cougars. They will have to kick the ball back to the Hillmen, and they'll get good field position.
Well, don't forget the first 4th down play from Center was a fake that managed to work.
That ship has sailed, though. They're not going to do that again.
You are correct, and this punt is shanked badly. Hits at the 41 and will be caught at the 41 by Brandon Cedar. Not a great punt, just about 20 yards.
You know, he should try that rugby-style punt. Last time, he really put the foot to that one.
I think
that little fake run rugby thing he had.
That might be the longest punt I have seen in high school football.
Yeah.
Netted about 60 yards on it. So Placer takes over in Center territory on the 41-yard line. And we'll see what Placer decides to do, up by 33. Man in motion, and it is a handoff to Corey Yunk. And Yunk is brought down after a gain of just 1.
That was Tobias Marshall out there making the hit.
Looks like Placer will bring in some of their 2nd and 3rd string runners.
Marshall coming off the field. Looks like it might have hurt his hand or something.
So here's the 2nd and 9 play. This is an inside handoff. This will only be good for maybe 2 yards. I believe that was Morgan Rain on the carry.
We saw Rain earlier in the season, and Rain was a bowling ball type of running back. Really powerful, straight ahead runner.
Listed as a fullback defensive lineman. I see Tobias Marshall is limping on the sidelines. We join the 3rd and 8 play. Ante throws it behind Derek Haney. Incomplete.
So for the first time tonight, I think, Steve, a 3 and out for the Hillmen. They are in that gray area where they could punt, they could go for it. It looks like the punting team.
Yeah, Prieto is taking the field.
Sure enough.
He is way back. He is 16 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So we will see if this practice pays off as he tries the coffin corner kick. And it was fair caught at the 4-yard line.
That was a big mistake. That was number 40, And we do have him. That's Zeron Houston. Should have let the thing go.
Yeah, that was not a great call catching that.
No.
Absolute worst case scenario, it hits and pops straight up. There's no way it just goes forward a couple more yards. And even then, you're on the 5-yard line. It can't get much worse than that.
No, and especially with an offense that can't seem to get a first down.
So first down on the 5-yard line. Pierini still in at quarterback. First play is a handoff up the middle, and that'll be good for about 6 yards. Center has been trying to grind away at the Placer defense, and to a minor extent have succeeded. Just not able to grind it all the way into the end zone or even into field goal range. Really, they've just had possession and then fizzled out on all of their drives. Looking at 2nd and 4 on their own 11-yard line. Pierini throws a screen pass, and that is in and out of the hands of Edmund Jabali.
And boy, if Jabali could have caught that ball on the run, he had some room. Outside defensive backs were biting to the inside.
That was an interesting little crossing route.
Yeah.
And it definitely fooled the linebackers of the Hillmen. Jabali just not able to hang on.
Yes.
Folsom up 42-0 against Nevada Union at the half. Meanwhile, the option pitch, that's to Tobias Marshall. And Marshall manages to slip through about 3 Hillmen, and he'll get out past the first down line.
Good pursuit that time, bad tackling. A lot of second stringers in now for the Hillmen. Number 31 that time was on the ball first. Here is the replay.
See a few arm tackles here, I'm sure.
But good pursuit, and then just runs past him.
Back to live action. This is the first down play. Handoff to Marshall. And Marshall will dive forward to get a yard. Looks like Marshall's leg is all right. He was limping a few minutes ago, but he appears to be up and in good working order. 7:20 left in the third quarter. Placer ahead 33-0. Pierini and Marshall in the backfield. Fake handoff to Marshall. Pierini going deep. That's to A.J. Lewis. But it is well away from him. Fall for another incomplete pass.
Steve Pierini's got actually a pretty good arm. I mean, it's a strong arm, and he throws a pretty tight spiral, but he just has no touch and no control where it's going.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. On 3rd and 9, Marshall will come out. Pierini will stay in. More than likely, this will be another pass play. Looks like Placer is playing somewhat of a prevent defense here. And the 3rd and 9 play. There's Pierini, another leading pass. This time it is high by about 6 feet or so. Maybe Will Chamberlain could have come down with that one. So 3rd and 9 becomes 4th and 9, and Center will be forced to kick yet again. Just under 7 minutes now in the third quarter. Bradford back to kick. There is no one for Placer to receive. Surprised Placer didn't take a timeout there, as this kick will get off and there's no one to take it. So it rolls past the 40, past the 35, will be spotted at the 34-yard line. Interesting decision by Placer not to try and return that.
I have to think it was an oversight on Coach Montoya's part. Why would you just let a kick go over your head and just take the field position that it gives you?
Only thing I can think is that was a 33-0, you know what, let's not even try and return it kind of decision.
At 40 points, they will let the clock run too.
That is one more touchdown and extra point away. Another double reverse handoff, and this time it will be about a 2-yard gain. Michael Ferreira will be the one who ends up with the ball. Second and 8. Time continues to run down as we're at 6:20. Placer in no hurry. A straight inside handoff for no gain. Logan Van Ripper is now in at quarterback. Marcus Ante is hanging out on the sideline. Looks like they'll actually give him a yard on that run, so it will be 3rd and about 8. So we have the second string quarterback in, the second string running backs in for Placer. Be another handoff to Ferreira. Ferreira gets to the outside, a great outside block, and he manages to get the first down.
Ferreira had some presence of mind after he turned the corner to just keep his legs moving. Looked inside, then outside, then back inside again. We don't see Ferreira's number called very often.
Listed as a running back, defensive back. He is a junior, but he showcased good speed and good field awareness to get that hole. Placer manages to get to the 50-yard line. Lincoln is currently leading Colfax 42-7, but there's a fumble on the snap, and center comes up with it.
Lincoln is beating Colfax 32-7, and Gil Dominguez is giving us that information from the truck. And Gil, are they at Colfax or are they at Lincoln? No, he doesn't know, which is a very unusual time for us.
Let's take a look at the fumble. Daniel Avallo is the Cougar who comes up with it. Just a faulty snap.
Logan Van Ripper is under center now and didn't take the snap well.
So we move back to live action. Tobias Marshall slips about 6 tackles and gains about 10 yards. I think they might spot him half a yard short of the first down marker. And now it looks like they're going to bring the chains out.
Here's a replay once again on that fumble. Van Ripper not taking a clean snap under center. This is a quarterback's fault, I think. Ball goes straight up in the air, and just what the doctor ordered for the center offense, get back on the field.
And that bounced pretty much directly at Daniel Avallo, who is listed as 5'9", 205, guard and middle linebacker. So the second Placer turnover of the night. The first coming on their second play from scrimmage, Ante throwing an interception. So we have the chains out to measure here. 4:55 remaining in the third quarter. Placer on top 33-0. And it will be short. Center now looking at 2nd and inches. And, of course, on any 2nd and inches play, you have 5 wide receivers and empty backfield. That makes sense. This is Marshall now taking the snap. Man in motion. Marshall keeps it. He'll get across the first down line and then some. Nice tackle by Ryan Houston to stop Marshall from getting even more. But a 10-yard run on the empty backfield quarterback keeper.
Nick Sanchez made the stop, and I'll tell you, it was a very, very good pull-down tackle. I beg your pardon, that would have been Josh Jacoby, number 12. Lucky to get a hold of him, pull him to the ground.
So center has a first down inside the Placer 30-yard line. Another empty backfield, 5 wide. Marshall takes the snap, and he stumbles in the backfield.
Wanted to hand that ball off, and I think his running back forgot to take the handoff.
Yeah, Mayfield was a good yard and a half away
that was embarrassing.
Take that handoff. I have a feeling that was a broken play.
Colfax now scored again, 14-40. Lincoln at Colfax. So that update in the PVL, starting to get a clear picture how that is shaping up.
2nd and 15 for the Cougars. There's a handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield gets a huge hole up the middle, and he will get about 7. Mayfield has really been the only running back besides Marshall. Even though Captain Marcellus Roberts is listed as a running back, we have not seen him get a single carry. In fact, he is standing on the sidelines. So 3rd and 7 on the Placer 27-yard line. Marshall takes the snap, gives to Mayfield, and the ball's knocked loose.
I think they got it back. Let's see. I think a center player jumped on it.
There's been no celebration by the Hillmen, so one would accept that center did recover, and they do. They're facing a 4th and 4.
Why did we bother to bring a chair up here?
2 of them, no less.
The top, I am Steve Sitter.
Not sure who that's worse for.
No, I'm Paul Brown, and this is my friend and broadcaster Steve Sitter. Coming from you to you from the top of Eason Field.
There is the 4th down play. Placer brings pressure. Marshall stays on his feet for a while and is eventually dragged down by Logan Crawford. That is a turnover on downs, and Placer will take over on their own 30-yard line. Placer was showing essentially an all-out blitz, and Marshall just unable to evade all of the rushing Hillmen. .153 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Placer with a 33-point lead. Logan Van Ripper will remain as quarterback. That's a delayed inside handoff. Michael Ferreira picks up about 13 yards. Ferreira comes up, looks like he's holding his left wrist. He appears to be in a good deal of pain. And he doesn't look like he wants to come out. Play comes in from number 19, Carter Benz. quick handoff to Morgan Rain, and Rain will fall forward for about 4 yards. So even with the second string in for Placer, they're still pushing the ball forward. This time the play comes in from Xavier Lovelace. As we creep towards the end of the third quarter, 45 seconds remaining. The speed of this game, this might be the final play, but Placer will be forced to take a timeout. So with 41 seconds remaining in the third quarter, we will step aside, but we will be back in 30 seconds. Placer on top 33-0 here at Center High School. This is the TouchdownProductions.com Game of the Week.
Your car is one of the most important assets you own. And Reeby's Auto Parts is dedicated to helping you keep it in tip-top condition. Reeby's Auto Parts is a family-owned and operated business since 1956. We have a friendly and knowledgeable staff, and as a Napa Auto Parts dealer, you're sure to find the right part you need from either of our 2 Nevada County locations. You can always count on Reeby's to be there when you need us. It's Reeby's Auto Parts in Nevada City and Grass Valley.
Back here at Eason Field, Placer looking at 2nd and 6. They lead the Center Cougars 33-0. Center had an excellent opportunity to score at the end of the first half, just could not complete a pass, got knocked out of the receiver's hands. Other than that, it's been all Placer. Another handoff to Morgan Rain. Rain pushes forward, the pack pushes with him. This will be very close to a first down, depending on where the spot is, and I do believe he got over.
I'm going to bet that Morgan Rain plays a big part of the offense next season. He is a junior, and I think he's got some real raw talent. I liked him last time we saw him, Steve.
Well, he certainly has the physique.
No doubt about that. He's got enough power and speed going straight line to be a very, very effective fullback.
He does get the first down. This is a somewhat broken handoff to Young. And that really goes nowhere.
And that should be the last play of the third quarter.
And in fact it is, as the clock winds down to 0. And just 1 quarter remaining of football here at Eason Field. See the Placer Title Company scoreboard. Placer on top 33-0 as we head to the fourth quarter. We will step aside and be right back with the final quarter of football on the TouchdownProductions.com Game of the Week.
Magnuson's Toyota and Scion is celebrating 25 years serving you in the foothills. Right now, Magnuson's carries the first all-electric SUV, and they're still the home of the Toyota Tundra. Magnuson's Dodge Chrysler Jeep is right down the street and features the new Ram diesel truck, Jeep Wranglers, and Grand Jeep Cherokee. It's Magnuson's Auburn Toyota and Magnuson's Dodge, both in Auburn.
Back here at Eason Field at Garety Stadium on the campus of Center High School. Placer on top 33-0, and they are facing 2nd and 9 at just about midfield. There's a handoff to Ferreira. Ferreira will slip some tackles and gain about 5 on the run. And that's been about the story of the game. Placer has gotten a few big plays. And we have a Hillman down. That is Hugh Hansen. Looks like this might just be a leg cramp, though. So while we get that figured out, we will step aside once again. This is Placer at Center on the TouchdownProductions.com Game of the Week.
It's time to visit the newly remodeled B&C True Value Home and Garden Center. The new B&C has completely changed for your shopping convenience. Their new expanded garden center has everything you need, including expert advice on trees, shrubs, and perennials. Check out their new website and the new spring hours. And thank you for voting B&C the best hardware and building supply in 2012. So start right, start here at B&C True Value Home and Garden Center.
Back here at Eason Field at Garety Stadium. That's number 15, Hugh Hansen, was just helped off the field. Walking under his own power, that's a good sign. But the Hillmen are facing a 3rd and 3 on the Cougar 40-yard line.
Logan Van Ripper still under center.
And that's a handoff to Ferreira. Ferreira gets some running room, and he will get into first down territory. Ferreira is another junior running back. The Hillmen have about 11 people who can serve as running backs. There's certainly no shortage of numbers in the backfield. And Ferreira is getting the majority of the carries so far in this second half. Has pretty good speed. This is an inside handoff to Rain. And Rain will get maybe half a yard on this run.
One thing about Rain, I keep coming back to him, Steve, but a team that wants to control the ball on the line of scrimmage offensively, just get a grinder that can just grind out yards for you. You could get behind this guy and put together literally a 6-7 minute drive if you just keep getting first downs.
And right now, that's all Placer's really trying to do is run this clock down. We're at 10.5 minutes. I would be certainly shocked if we saw a pass play. There's a handoff to Ferreira, and Ferreira is met by a pack of Cougars for no gain.
Coming back next year for Joey Montoya, Logan Van Ripper will probably be the starting quarterback. He is a junior. We have seen him early in the season. Actually, there was some dispute whether he was going to be the starting quarterback earlier, but he's now just plays defensive end and defensive back. They will lose. They will have Morgan Rain, but they will lose the core of their running backs. Cassad will be gone. Of course, Owen Scott will be gone.
On 3rd and 9, there's another inside handoff for about 2 yards, nowhere close to the first down. So this is another in-between yardage where you don't really need to punt. A touchback would only net you 11 yards. And it doesn't look like they're going to punt. Well, here we go, 4th and 7. A delayed handoff to Ferreira, and Ferreira is met at the line of scrimmage. Look like Lorenzo Avalos. And that will be a turnover on down. Center will take over on their own 32-yard line.
It was Lorenzo, and scattered applause here on the sideline of Center High School. Let's see if Center can mount a drive and get that goose egg off the scoreboard.
That Placer drive was very much what Center has done pretty much all night, grinding out time, but eventually coming out with no points. Tobias Marshall is back in at quarterback. He keeps it himself, but he's met in the backfield by Larkins. Still manages to fall forward for a couple yards. Larkins has 1 sack on the year for 8 yards, but good penetration on that play.
Just follows his back into the hole. I'm not sure if that was the design play or not, Steve.
It does get kind of hard to tell sometimes. So 2nd and 8. Quick handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield's got some running room, and he has picked up about 13 yards.
Mayfield is one of those rare runners that has speed but can stay real low to the ground. Keeps his head up, looks for the holes.
And he really doesn't need a lot of room to get to full speed.
No, he doesn't, but he has it if he gets out. I like his running style.
Definitely a downhill runner. First down for the Cougars. Another handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield cuts up the middle, but met nicely. Gained maybe a yard before the initial point of contact. And it would be very interesting to see the time of possession on this game. I would wager a guess and say that Center has controlled the ball for almost twice the amount of time that Placer has. And they still have 0 on the scoreboard. 2nd and 9. Lewis in motion, actually flipped up to Lewis, and Lewis has some running room. Lewis showing his speed. He gets out to the 20. Jukes his way all the way down to the 13-yard line.
Great run, A.J. Lewis. He does it on offense and defense. One of the best players on this Center team. Perhaps we have a replay of that.
Yeah, that was not so much a handoff as it was a flip. But Lewis managed to get some excellent speed and some good blocking. Although he was really running side by side with the defender almost the whole way before finally being tracked down. They will actually spot this on the 23-yard line. There's a handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield stutter steps, gets inside the 20 before being hit.
Here's that replay now. Watch Lewis. And
Mayfield, the lead blocker.
Yeah, he showcases his speed though right here. Gets to the outside, takes advantage of the one block he gets out there, and just splits the defenders and just outruns everybody right here, running side by side. Trying to catch him, that's number 8, Xavier Lovelace.
He was running right next to Lewis for about 15 yards.
Yeah.
2nd and 7 now for the Cougars. Another handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield bounces to the outside, and he has some room. Down inside the 10, he tries to get in, and he does. The hard work of Isaiah Mayfield finally pays off, and Center is on the scoreboard for the first time tonight.
And there's a very deserving Mayfield coming back for pats on the back on the sideline.
Here's the first extra point attempt for the Cougars. Bit of a high snap and a line drive of a kick. That's good by about 40 yards. So an impressive drive. A.J. Lewis gets them close, and Isaiah Mayfield puts them in. And the Placer Title Company scoreboard, it took them 3.5 quarters, but Center finally puts up a crooked number at Trail Placer, 33-7. Center ground it and ground it out. And let's see that touchdown run one more time.
Looking for his blockers out in front. There may have been a block in the back there. We won't talk about that. But going for the corner, another block that suspiciously might be in the back. Mayfield gets the ball across the cone.
Yeah, certainly no one on Placer's side is complaining too much. Being up by 26 with 6 minutes left. There's the spinning kick. That'll be caught at the 14-yard line by Joe Robinson. Robinson gets to the outside. Pretty good blocking. He's still up and running. Finally gets taken out, but not before getting out to the 42-yard line. Not a lot of speed there by Robinson, but some great blocks. And he just managed to stay on his feet and in bounds. Just under 6 minutes now remain in the game. Van Ripper hands off to Ferreira. Ferreira trying to get to the outside, forced to cut back in. Gains about 4 before being brought down.
Ferreira runs about 50 yards to get his 4 before he can actually cut back upfield.
That was a long sideways run.
Michael Ferreira is another junior on the team that will be back next year. We're likely to see in this lineup right here next year's starters.
2nd and 6.
This Rains.
Oh, that's a handoff up the middle, and he is still on his feet. That was an impressive run. About 15 yards by Morgan Rain.
Rain just keeps his legs moving, and he runs so close to the ground with power.
Looks like we have a Cougar down, but he's up again. Yeah, he will motor off the field. That is Noah Keys. He'll be able to get off under his own power.
Noah was limping earlier.
Keys listed as 6'2", 260. Meanwhile, Placer has a first down. Here's a handoff to Yunk. Yunk will try and bounce to the outside, but he is brought down after a gain of 3.
So Placer resting their starters, and wisely so, heading into playoffs. 33 points on the scoreboard tonight, 4:36 left in this game. Getting a chance to develop some of the players for next year.
And Yunk is a senior. That's a handoff to Ferreira. Ferreira has Rain in front to block, and he will get about 15 yards again, just shy of the Cougar red zone.
That'll stop the clock briefly while they move the flags.
So with Bear River likely victorious over Foothill, they would go to 6-0. Placer would move to 6-0 as well with this victory over Center. Center would fall to 4-2, and Lincoln over Colfax would also be at 4-2. So Center and Lincoln tied for 2nd. Bear River and Placer tied for 1st. And Colfax and Foothill would likely be out of the playoffs altogether.
This is the first league game of the season, we might add. There's preseason in league. So both Bear River and Placer are 1-0 in league, and so would Lincoln. Ooh, big hit.
Yeah, this run stopped before it ever really had a chance to start. That was a 2nd and 8 play. This will be backed up. Make it about 3rd and 12 on the Center 22-yard line. Approaching 3 minutes now. And just taking a look at Placer's roster, they would be losing the core of their offense. No Ryan Houston, no Joe Robinson, no Waylon Kozad, no Marcus Ante. This is a long sideways play that will result in, looks like, the loss of a yard. Another play that never really had a chance to develop. Good penetration by the Cougars into the backfield. And that will bring up 4th and call it 12.5. And it looks like we have the kick unit out. This will be a long field goal, about 40 yards.
They were having trouble making extra points.
Well, this will certainly be a challenge, and this will be exactly 40 yards. We'll see Andres Prieto if he has the range. He did not look like he was ready for that at all. And this will be caught by Zirin Houston. Houston will take it out of his own end zone. And we have another late whistle, or an early whistle rather. They're going to say since that was caught in his own end zone, it will be a touchback.
I didn't think that ball made the end zone, Steve, but I guess it did. I don't think it did. I think he caught it on about the 2.
Yeah, if there's a replay of that, Andres Prieto was not nearly set up. Ryan Houston was his holder. He was signaling for the ball before Prieto had a chance to really get set up and in a good ready position. Prieto looked pretty startled by the fact that the ball was moving. So there will be a missed field goal touchback, and Center will have 1:54 to get back on the scoreboard. Tobias Marshall will be taking the snap. And off to Mayfield. Big hole, but an excellent tackle by number 33, Andrew Smith.
Let's take a look at that kick again. I think Gil Dominguez in the truck has dialed it up. Here it is.
Yeah, Prieto looks a bit startled. He actually takes a step back. As an extra point, that would have been very good. But let's see where he catches this ball. He's about a yard. Yeah, about 3 yards into the end zone. There's a 2nd and 10 play. Another handoff to Mayfield. Mayfield gets ahead of speed, gets to the right side, and he bounces out, and he has a lot of room. Dragged down by Josh Jacoby. Thought that might be a horse collar, but I guess he got him underneath the shoulder pad to drag him down. Still a good run by Isaiah Mayfield. Picks up the first down and a lot more.
So this will be the last series of plays here. A minute left on the clock.
Center a long way to go. I doubt they'd use their timeouts just to get another touchdown. Another handoff to Mayfield. This time he is wrapped up by Larkins, and Larkins will throw him. Well, they'll say the point of contact was at the line of scrimmage, so it will be no gain on the run as we approach the 30-second mark. This will likely be the final play of the game. And Mayfield has the speed to bust out a huge play. We get down to 17 seconds. Marshall, the quarterback. Mayfield, the running back. This is an interesting handoff to Edmund Jabali. Jabali will squeak forward for about 2 yards. And that is the end of the game. Definitely more of a grinder than we expected. And you can see the Placer Title Company scoreboard. Placer still short of their average points per game by 12. And Center by much more, as the Placer Hillmen roll in to Center High School and roll up the Cougars 33-7. And Paul, what kind of precedent does that set, as this is the opening week of PVL football?
Well, I don't think there's any surprises here, Steve. We knew that Placer was a big, strong, fast team. They've proven themselves in preseason, and the PVL is going to have everything they have. Who's going to beat them? We may see the winner of the PVL when we see Bear River meet crosstown rival Placer.
Well, Lincoln put forward a decisive victory tonight over Colfax. That game is probably not yet finalized, but That is another big precedent. Colfax was expected to be a major player this year. Our executive producer tonight, Gilbert M. Dominguez. Camera operators, Callahan King and Josh Collin. Announcers, Paul Brown and Steve Sitter. Remote facilities, Commander 2. Commander Maintenance, Plaza Tire and Auto Service, and Reeves Auto Parts. Touchdown Accounting, Seno Graciano, LLP. Those Placer sings their alma mater song. That will wrap up our coverage of PVL football here at Center High School. Be sure to join us next week. We have Bear River and Colfax, a huge game. And the HD game over at Nevada Union as Granite Bay rolls into town. You can enjoy football every week at touchdownproductions.com. For Paul Brown, I'm Steve Sitter and the rest of the Touchdown Productions crew. Good night from Center High School, and we will see you next week.
The Nevada County Association of Realtors Charitable Foundation invites you to an enchanting masquerade ball on October 24th at the Rincon Del Rio Bear River Estate. Enjoy delicious food and drinks, dance to music provided by Bobby G, play games of chance, bid on live and silent auction items. Our event will benefit local nonprofit charities and help provide for scholarships. This will be the most talked about community event of the year. So don't miss the Nevada County Association of Realtors Charitable Foundation Masquerade Ball on Saturday, October 24th.